What the hell is the point of college? That is a question I should have been asking myself before I flew my ass across the country to attend USC. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Luckily, I made it through in one piece. And I was a hot mess 95% of the time, but as usual, I managed to pick up a few valuable lessons along the way. And because nobody cares what I think, I decided to share anyways. So here are 5 lessons I learned from attending a big ass college.
Doesn't mean less when you make that sound. Come at me best when you spread shit round. Only works well when you ponder spontaneity.
Hi and welcome to my channel. I am powering through this corona shutdown. I've got a couple more videos lined up here, so if you'd like to check those out, make sure to subscribe before you head out. And if you're feeling generous, I wouldn't be mad at a thumbs up or a share either. It is always an honor to hear from you beautiful kings and queens, so feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, thanks. Number 1, high school did not prepare me to choose a career. Some people know what they want to be right from the beginning. You ask them at 6 years old and they say things like, I want to be a pediatrician, and then 20 years later they're out here being a goddamn pediatrician. I was not one of those people. My interests varied so much as a kid, and high school did very little to prepare me to actually identify a career path. The only careers that I knew of were doctor, lawyer, engineer, and pharmacist. In my parents' eyes, anything not on that list was not a worthwhile option. What do you mean you want to be a writer? Come, let me pray for you. Father, in the name of Jesus. I did very well in high school academically. I was taking AP courses. I had no problem getting all A's. I was in the National Honor Society. I had a high GPA, a high ACT score, and I graduated in the top 5% of my class with high honors. So on paper, I was killing the game, but I had no idea what I wanted to do with any of that. And my getting to college process was a bit of a hot mess because neither of my parents went through the process here in America, and my older brother was involved in sports, so the coaches ended up doing a lot of legwork. Everyone, my parents and teachers, thought I was so responsible because of my academic record that they assumed that I knew what I was doing with all this college stuff. Spoiler alert, I did not. I just talked a good game. So I was left up to my own devices to figure that shit out. At the time, I was pretty obsessed with video and editing, so I thought, hey, I'll just take it to the next level and become a film director / editor. So my junior year of high school, I literally Googled the best film school and USC popped up. I checked out some photos of the school online and I thought, hey, this place is sexy. It's got beaches, it's warm, it's far away from home, so no one's gonna know me, and it is highly competitive academically. So that's why I decided to go to USC. That, and obviously because they let me in and gave me a bunch of money. Anyways, long story short, I did not proceed with the film production major because although USC wanted me in their university, this film school did not. So I didn't get accepted to that specific major. Sad day. I was rejected halfway through my second year, so I was majorless and confused during this time. I dabbled in majors like psychology, philosophy, anthropology, and law, but I had no idea what career I wanted. My whole freaking life prior to college had just been about getting good grades, and there was very little discussion about how to turn those good grades into a career. Eventually, I ended up majoring in communication only because I had taken an intro course my freshman year, and those 4 extra credits were just enough to help me complete the major in 4 years and get the hell out of there. I'm in a good place now career-wise, but I definitely think I would have benefited from more guidance or even from taking a year off to figure out my life. Number 2, I learned how to save money and how to survive being broke. Now, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but I never felt poor until I got to USC. You can't throw a rock there without hitting some spoiled rich kid. I had never been in such close proximity with people who had so much money. Your parents paid for your tuition out of pocket? Wow. And meanwhile, my bank account is negative. I can't afford to fly home during spring break or the holidays.
Your current balance, including pending transactions, is negative $40.84.
I quickly learned how to survive being broke and how to stretch my dollars, and I didn't like asking my family for money because they had their own problems to deal with. I learned some money saving tricks like buying older used editions of textbooks. I even spent hours in the library just scanning hundreds of pages out of the new editions of the textbooks so I wouldn't have to buy a $300 book. $300 for what? I would buy groceries and eat at home instead of eating out when I could. Goodwill was and still is my spot. I would use public transit, bike, or walk to where I needed to go. The most important part for me was keeping the money coming in. I worked every chance I got. I made sure to get all my work study hours in every semester, and I would work my ass off during the summer to stack up as many dollars as I could before going back to school in the fall. It was also important to not let myself get caught up in a lifestyle that I couldn't afford. I could have gone the credit card route or spent all my money trying to keep up with my peers who did have money, but man, at the end of the day, my long-term security was more valuable to me than a weekend at Coachella ever could have been. Number 3, organizational skills were my keys to success. One thing I did learn in high school was how to keep myself organized, and I'll be 100% honest, I never thought I was that smart. I'm just really good at organizing my work. College is different from high school because nobody is chasing you around with second chances, reminders, or hand-holding in general. You are paying to be there. If you want to go to class, take notes, or complete assignments on time, then do that. If not, then don't. Nobody cares. And there's a lot of work to do in college. You've got papers, research, group projects, labs, discussions, and a shit ton of reading. I started using a planner well before high school, so by the time I got to college, it was like second nature. As soon as the professor handed me the syllabus, I would mark in my planner the due dates for all the assignments. I would also block time for all the readings that I had to do and for work time in general. So if I had 150 pages to read that week, I would set aside time each day to read X amount of chapters. And in college, your classes are not all at the same time like they are in high school. Some days I'd have class at 9 a.m. and then I wouldn't have anything until 3 p.m. Some days I would just have class between 1 and 5 p.m. and some days I wouldn't have classes at all. I would also change up my work study hours depending on what my class schedule was. And it was different every semester, so I would just pencil in work time into whatever available times I happened to have that semester. And that's what saved me. Knowing what needed to be done, making lists, and planning my time appropriately. That's it. I'm not gonna lie and act like I was the perfect student, because I definitely had more than my fair share of all-nighters brought on by procrastination. I could bust out a 5 to 7 page paper in a few hours if I absolutely had to, but it was painful. And I still use a planner and calendar today. I have no clue how full-grown adults with responsibilities live out here in the world without some type of organizational tool. Number 4, the world is huge and amazing and I want to be all up in it. I would say I lived a pretty sheltered life before going to college for a variety of reasons, including my family being incredibly Christian and my parents being Nigerian. We weren't exactly encouraged to explore other points of view often, if at all. There was no value placed on learning about how other people lived, what they believed, or how they made sense of the world just for learning's sake. And to make matters worse, there was always this fear that too much exposure to things that were considered bad would in essence corrupt us. We were intentionally prevented from experiencing many things. Getting out of the environment in which I was raised was definitely a game changer. I met so many people different from myself during college, and I had deep discussions about topics that I couldn't even bring up back home. I got to live in another country where I didn't speak the language well for a whole semester. And while I was there, I was lucky enough to be able to visit a bunch of other countries where I met more people who were even more different from myself. During those 4 years, I feel like I was finally able to think for myself and experience the world on my own, and I loved it. It is definitely a worthwhile endeavor for me to experience as much of this world as possible while I can. And not just physically explore, but also learning about people in general. I think people are fascinating, and I learn more and more about myself the further I explore. Of course, not everything about the world was great, but it's much bigger and more diverse than I had been able to comprehend in high school. And number 5, community is everything. My freshman year, I lived in an all-black floor. It was a special interest floor for all black students, and I had to apply to live there. And I was lucky enough to get selected. I don't know what my college experience would have been like had it not been for that. There are not that many black students at USC. So being able to start off my time there in an already established community was just what I needed. I was genuinely terrified of having to live with all white people. It was one thing to survive being the only black student in a classroom setting, but damn, now I gotta be the only one in the place that I'm supposed to call home. Talk about anxiety. And of course, even on the all black floor, I was still mean. I was still socially awkward, introverted, and in general an oddball, but I very much appreciated having a community around me that understood what it was like to be black in a predominantly white institution. And many of them had come from high schools that were predominantly white, just like I had. So I could do things like walk around in my headscarf and not feel self-conscious. And I also met other Nigerians who lived there, which is always nice. So that initial community foundation allowed me to continue to grow my community at the school, which positively impacted my experience overall. Had I not felt that initial connection, I don't know how long I would have made it, because freshman year was hard. I learned that having the right friend group made all the difference. It made all-nighters less painful, it made being broke less painful, and for me, it made those developing years between the ages of 19 and 22 in general less painful. Anyways, now that I'm a fully formed adult, kind of, I'm still unpacking all that I experienced in college, and I'm still paying for it. Was it worth it? In short, yes, just because I'm happy with where my life is right now, so I wouldn't go back and change too much because of the butterfly effect, you know? But I would encourage anyone who's watching this and thinking about college, ask some questions, seek some guidance, and know what you want to get out of it before jumping into it. So tell me, what did you learn in college? What do you wish you had known prior to starting? Was it worth it to you? Which experiences are you the most grateful for? Did you take a non-traditional approach? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Share this video with a college buddy that you don't talk to anymore. As usual, people, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you get an alert when I post my next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Doesn't mean less when you make that sound. Come at me best when you spread shit round. Only works well when you ponder spawn.